Hi, I decided to do a video on a discussion that I saw on my Facebook. Someone posted an article about honoring your marriage vows, about emotional affairs. Basically, avoiding bonding with someone else emotionally when you're married. Um, it's hard for me to talk about this, but I am going to talk about it. It's hard because it destroyed two relationships in my life. And I went through quite a lot with one partner on trying to get them to see how serious having an emotional affair with someone else, how that affected me. And the problem with spouses having emotional affairs is often they don't even know that they're having an emotional affair. To them, it's natural. They're just being a friend or leaning on someone else. But what they don't realize is in the process of going to someone else about how you feel rather than your spouse, you are, in a sense, abandoning your spouse. You're leaving them in the dark. You're um, keeping them from being able to give you the emotional support that you're allowing an outsider to give to you. Um, you are actually basically also neglecting your spouse because a part of your spouse's job is to be there for you when you're going through things. That is one of the most important things. That's one of the reasons why you were brought together, to be a support system for each other, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Now, when you have emotional affairs, you're basically getting the emotional love from someone else, whether it's the same gender or not. For example, some males think they're not having an emotional affair because they're emotionally bonding with another male. And they say, I'm a straight male. How can I have an emotional affair with another male? Well, it's always an emotional affair when you give emotional love and attention and support, or you give your feelings and how you feel to someone else other than your spouse. It really doesn't matter what gender that you chose to emotionally bond with other than your spouse. You're still having an emotional affair. Now, when you have an emotional affair, getting back to that, um, you are basically detaching from your spouse in a way that is just not healthy for both your spirits. You are literally putting your spouse on terms of being only there for physical satisfaction for you, not emotional support. So what ends up happening is your spouse starts to feel like they're just being used physically and financially. They might start to feel that. They might start to feel insecure, as if you don't value them anymore. You don't care for them anymore. To not care that they're not being allowed to be in here to feel what you're feeling in your heart. Um, the worst thing that someone can do in a relationship is to shut the other person out of their heart. And when you have an emotional affair, that's what you're doing. Now, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but when it comes in the world of gender, men sometimes, well, actually a lot of the time, tend to be more selective on who they share their emotions with. Um, and they're emotionally guarded. And it might come off as emotionally detached even. But when it becomes off emotionally detached is with their partner, it's when they become emotionally guarded by not letting their partner connect with their emotions. Um, it gets to be very frustrating because the women hit a wall. They go to their spouse and they say, talk to me. Tell me how you feel. How come you didn't tell me about your day? How come you don't never tell me what's on your mind or what you're feeling? Well, one of the reasons probably why they're having an emotional affair is because they already told someone. They already sat on the phone with their guy friend or their female friend. Doesn't matter if it's the same gender or opposite gender. Doesn't matter with the gender. they probably have already cried on someone else's shoulder. So there's nothing left for them to give to their spouse emotionally when they come home. So the spouse just sits there with their spouse who's having this emotional fear, and they just feel their relationship waste away. You know, when you get old and your body starts to wear down and you start running out of money and you're not as fit as you used to be, that emotional love is what's going to keep both of you together. So if that's not there early on in your relationship, you already know you're headed down a dark road. You're headed for some problems. And your relationship is just ticking time bomb. It's all going to blow up in both your faces, and it's going to end not good. Someone's going to end up hurt, and it's going to be the one who's been emotionally neglected, or the one that has been on the outside when they should have been on the inside, and that's the one that you married. Men often don't see this as a problem. They don't see it as a problem to talk to other women, but to your spouse, it translates as flirting with another woman, simply because you're not giving emotional love to her. So the only way she can understand why you're not giving her emotional love, but to somebody else, is that you must be flirting with the woman, or you must have a crush on her, or you must be, if it's a male you're having an emotional affair with, you must be a closet homosexual. She tries to give some explanation for this because she doesn't understand, because she is trying everything in her power to be there for you emotionally, and you're shutting her out and you're giving your emotional love to someone else. A relationship without emotional love and emotional bonding is basically a home with bricks, but with no glue and concrete. Nothing to keep those bricks. It's just cracked bricks where the home just going to fall down. Just fall right down. And that's what's going to happen to your relationship. I know I've been through it for years. I went through it for years. And after many years, two of the people who I was seeing at different times, one of them is ready to be a part of my life now and emotionally. But now I have nothing to give to them emotionally. I tried so hard, and they gave their emotional love to someone else. And see, that's the problem. When you do finally decide you don't want to have an emotional affair, you want to lean on that person, their shoulder may not be there for you anymore. I think that emotional affairs are bad. They're just doors to having physical affairs. And most people, that's how it happens. Women are emotional lovers. We know this, okay? So if a male goes out and have an emotional affair, which he doesn't even know he's having, he's just talking to her all the time and hanging out with her. And after a while, he starts to know. Now, I'm not going to excuse him all the time. Men start to realize that they're neglecting their wives emotionally. But they just feel like it's not that bad. They're not really doing nothing that wrong. Most of them, men believe that they're not going to be held accountable. They feel it's okay. A lot of men feel it's their right to have several women in their lives at once and spreading themselves thin between all the women. Women too. I'm not going to blame it all on men. Women have emotional fears. But what I discovered is often when women have emotional fears, it's because the men are not giving them the emotional love that they want. They're giving the emotional love and bonding with their men friends, which is still an emotional affair. So if a guy is always willing to talk to his boy about his problems, or, do everything with his boy, or just do a lot of laughing and joking with his boy all the time while his girl is standing there watching on the outside all the time, and he has nothing emotionally left to give to her, he's still having an affair. And this is what I tried to explain to my spouse many years ago, and they couldn't understand that. It would get to a point where I would actually retreat and say, why am I even in the room? Why am I even standing here? Why am I even waiting on this person? They obviously have shut me out. I really think people should be careful who they bond with emotionally when they're in relationships, because you may lose the one who really loved you, all because you had an emotional affair with someone else that you didn't even know you were having. And when you realize that you didn't stop it in enough time before feelings got involved between you and that other person, or your spouse got fed up with it. So that's a little bit about emotional affairs. It's just not healthy. I know firsthand. It almost drove me to a nervous breakdown when I had to deal with the two partners that I dealt with. One guy, and then years down the road, another guy who felt the need to always emotionally bond with other women, even around me all the time, even when I'm not around, but never had nothing to say to me when they were with me. I think that when you enter a marriage or enter a relationship, you should be entering it with the first intentions to emotionally bond. If not, then you are, and that person really wants someone in their life, and you know that, you're misleading them. And eventually it's going to blow up in your face. They're going to get fed up with being on the outside when they're supposed to be on the inside, because you are committed to them. You're committed to them and married to them. And you're just asking to really hurt someone when you deny them emotional love, when you have committed to them, when you are committed to them. Thank you for watching my video.